Hello, Seb here from Timely Coffees with a quick update on our feature coffee of the week. This is Terrazas del Pisque from Ecuador. So you'll notice that with a lot of the coffees that we have through, that sometimes we don't have very many different origins at some parts of the year, and sometimes we have, it seems, heaps of different origins as well. So especially for feature coffee subscribers, you might find that some weeks you're receiving coffee from Peru, Colombia, Ecuador, all these different parts of the world all at once, and then maybe there's some times of the year that you're receiving a lot of Colombians in a row, or maybe lots of coffee from Timor-Leste, and all these different kind of patterns come throughout the year. This is really because coffee is very, very seasonal, which means that coffee production in some parts of the world only lasts for a couple of months. And then when the coffee arrives, we notice that coffee is tasting great for maybe kind of 3 to 4 months from when it rolls in the door. And then after that, it starts to fade pretty significantly. And we feel like it's probably a better idea to maybe move on to a different origin. So for coffees like coffee from Ecuador and maybe Guatemala and El Salvador and Peru, a lot of these coffees, because we know they don't have a very long shelf life, we'll buy a very small amount of each coffee and we'll release them for a certain amount of time throughout the year, but they won't be around for very long. And that means, because they're all kind of coming through at the same time, that there's going to be other times of the year where you'll notice that you have coffees that are, from similar parts of the world geographically. But one of the things to look at more than anything is the actual coffee producer and the information on the back of the bag. So the best thing here is that coffee from the same part of the world, you can have 2 different coffees from Colombia and they can taste worlds apart. More different than maybe an El Salvador and a Guatemala could taste. They could taste very, very similar. So it's important to look at the information on the back of the bag to talk about kind of fermentation and drying and variety, the producer's story, what they're actually doing for the coffee as well, because these things are going to have a bigger impact than just the country that the coffee was grown in. So this coffee is from Ecuador, like I said. It's a really great time to be drinking Ecuadorian coffee because it's really fresh and tasting really juicy and really nice and bright. The acidity is really delicious at the moment, and the thing about Ecuadorian coffee is that it actually doesn't last very long. So this is the time to be drinking it and really enjoying it. So when you get this coffee, you'll see that it's got a nice kind of dark green label, which is our crisp category, which, like I said, it kind of talks about that acidity, which is really nice. It's got this refreshing, nice kind of crispness to it. So when you kind of drink it for the first time and you notice that it's kind of sweet, it's got this acidity afterwards, which kind of relieves that, which is really lovely. So hope you enjoy it. If you've got any questions, let me know. But thanks very much and see you next week. Del Pisque from Ecuador. That was a weird pause. One of the great things about this coffee in particular, nope, not true. So this coffee is really great, and talk about in terms of our